The disciples said to the Lord, Lord, increase our faith. How can I forgive someone who has hurt me 7 times a day? And he comes back and says, sorry. Well, I forgave him the first time. He said, sorry for it. I said, that's okay. The second time I said, it's okay. The third time I started thinking about it. Now the 5th time, I really want to give him an uppercut. You know what I mean? This is a joke. You offend me and you come back and say, sorry, and I forgive you. You took me for a ride or something. Do you think I'm an idiot? I'm going to belt you one next time you come and say sorry. The Lord says, no, you forgive. No matter how many times he sins against you. But when he asks for forgiveness, you must forgive him, even if it's 70 times 7. 490 times, 7 times 70 is 490. I don't think anyone will be able to offend you 490 times a day. I don't think there is enough time for them to be able to offend you 490 times. There is not enough time in the day for them to do that. Even if they were willing to do it, they don't have the time. The Lord means 70 times 7, meaning all their life. You need to forgive them if they say, I'm sorry, all their life. Now, how can you do this? Is the following thing. When they said to the Lord, Lord, what you're saying is not difficult, it is impossible. Please, Lord, increase our faith. Look at this. Verse 5. And the apostle said to the Lord, increase our faith, because what they just heard is impossible humanly. Look at the Lord's reply. So the Lord said, if you have faith, because they said, increase our faith. The Lord said, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you can say to this mulberry tree, be pulled up by the roots and be planted in the sea, and it would obey you. What has this got to do with increasing our faith? Do you have the time? Lord, increase our faith. The Lord says, if you had faith the size of a mustard seed. A mustard seed, my beloved, is one of the most tiniest of tiniest in the entire seed category. Extremely tiny. He said, if you had the tiniest of faith, you will say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and be planted in the sea. It will obey you. Mulberry tree, my beloveds, the roots are very deep, very long, and very big. The tree has powerful roots into the earth where nothing shakes it, nothing breaks it. It is embedded in this earth, extremely deep, rooted very deep in the earth. He said, if you had the tiniest of faith, you will uproot it totally and plant it in the sea. Well, can you plant a mulberry tree in water? No. And it can only be planted on earth, not in water, in dirt, not in water. But the Lord says, if you have the tiniest of faith, you can do what is impossible. What is earth? Why did he bring a mulberry tree? Because it's rooted in the earth. Now, who is rooted in the earth? The Lord began in verse 19. There was a certain rich man clothed in purple and fine linen. When a person lives for this world, is rooted deep in this world, in this earth, is rooted so far and so deep, no one can bring him out of this world and change his mind. Until you have that faith of a mustard seed. A little tiny faith. The Lord will take that little tiny faith and will do the impossible. Somebody was all worldly from head to toe. The way they walked, the way they talked, the way they dressed, the way they behaved, the way they lived, they were 100% worldly, all for Satan. And suddenly, they became all for Christ. What happened? That was impossible. I know this guy. He's going to church now. He used to be in the pub, in the club 24/7. He swore, he gambled, he did everything evil under the sun, and today they are doing evil unto him, and he is returning it with love and mercy. He totally changed, because the Lord will take that little tiny faith and will do in you what is impossible to be done by you or by anyone else. It takes God to change a man's heart. And I'll leave you with this. You may think that the ultimate miracle when the Lord raises somebody from the dead. Now that is a most powerful miracle. Someone was rotted in the grave for 4 days called Lazarus. Not this beggar, a different Lazarus. So he was dead for 4 days, meaning everything in him is definitely dead. Rotted in the grave. And for the Lord to come and say, Lazarus, come forth, and Lazarus rises after 4 days rotted, you'll say this is the ultimate miracle. But let me tell you one thing, that is definitely not the ultimate miracle, because if it was, Lazarus wouldn't have died again in Cyprus. He was raised from the dead in Bethany, Israel. And after the Lord himself raised him from the dead, he died again in Cyprus after becoming the bishop of Cyprus for 30 more years of his life. I went to Cyprus and I visited the tomb of Lazarus, and it is engraved on that stone, this is the tomb of Lazarus. If that was the ultimate miracle, he shouldn't have died. But why is Lazarus still living and will always be living forever? Because the Lord changed his heart. When God changes your heart, you will live forever. But when God changes a situation of your life, you will die again. This is why so many times we ask the Lord to change the situation. So many times we ask the Lord to change my life, and we don't get an answer for my desperate request. You know why? Because if the Lord changes your situation every time you ask for it, you will die. But the Lord will come not changing the situation, but changing you. Because the moment he changes you, he enables you to overcome the situation. Now this is victory. This is victory. When a person changes, I was so rooted in the world, chasing the temptation of the world. Now I'm set free. I look at the club, I suffocate. Before, it was my source of oxygen. Yeah. In fact, I used to suffocate every time they dragged me by force to the church. I couldn't handle it. I would lose it sitting 5 minutes in the church, but sitting 5 days in a row in a club, that was life. But now, every time I think, not go, I think of a club, I suffocate. But every time I'm in the church, I don't want to go out. And if you're still suffocating while in the church, say, Lord, whatever roots of this mulberry tree is left in the ground, please plug it. I don't want nothing to do with this earth. Plug me from this earth. Plug me from this earth.